Is there a prompt? There are 6 emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in 6 hours.
What's going on, 7-footers gang? You know what it is already. It is Jenna and Jarod. We are in the midst of the NBA season, and the tea is hot. The ball is hot. Everything is hot.
The block is hot,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, give it to him, Jarod. And if they could see you right now, you're wearing a lovely ensemble.
Thank you. A little, plaid, a little red. Got more of that winter vibe, but over a nice cream-colored hoodie. I'm just doing a little something out here. Even though we're not out here in these streets, you can still, make sure your fit's correct. You know what I'm saying?
Hey. And what a good time to drop a shameless plug that the Kicks and Shit show just dropped. And they got a new episode featuring yours truly.
That's correct.
And it is the famous crossover that we have been trying to make happen forever. And we finally made it happen. And I had, seriously, not to give you any credit, which I guess I will, but I had the freaking best time. Like, such a fun experience. So fun. And, like, who doesn't love to talk about themselves? Like, you get me up. And that never happens. I showed up, guys, with my wine. I was like, this ain't my show. Let's go.
So you got to experience the different side of me where I am a co-host and you're the guest. You're like, I kind of like this better versus when we are co-hosting together. And I'm like, Jenna, hurry up. You're late. Do this.
Well, you still yelled at Gabby and I a little bit. There was one point, guys, really quick before we get into it, but he was like, guys, would you really stop right now with all the side chatter? I'm getting so annoyed. And I was like, oh my God.
Listen.
So
I run a tight ship, folks. Y'all know that. I run a tight ship out here in these streets. We got to keep these girls, keep the train moving. Or else we'll get derailed out here.
I love it. Speaking of a tight ship and keeping it moving, we got to do that right now because there are a lot of interesting stories to get to in the news, in the NBA streets out here in the association, as Jarod says. But let's talk about Steve Kerr because he is the hot topic of conversation right now because of recent quotes he said about monitoring Steph Curry's minutes. And I have questions for you, Jarod, prepared. I'm telling you, I prepared for this one like it was like a special
Love it.
episode with Jaren Jackson Jr. back, which we need to get him back. Anyway, Steve Kerr. So a lot of questions being raised around the league, within fans, everything about Steph Curry's minutes, and he's on an offensive tear. I mean, he's averaging 29 points right now in 37 or 33.7 minutes that he's playing. That number is super crucial because Steve Kerr has previously mentioned that he wants to keep him 34 around that range. So again, offensive tear. So he talks to the media after the Warriors lost to the Spurs, right? And the topic comes up, and he basically says that he's not going to expand Steph Curry's minutes to just gain wins. So I think it's interesting. He said, quote, I'm into the long game. We're counting on having Steph here for a long time, many years. I'm not interested in grinding through this season, which is already a difficult season given COVID, just the nature of the games themselves, its Eries, et cetera, et cetera. And then he goes on to say, we're not throwing Steph out there for 40 minutes to chase wins. We got another game, and we got Steph playing at a high level. We want him for many years to keep him disciplined. And still, he repeats, he wants that 34, 35-minute mark. I think this is super interesting because it says a lot. First of all, a coach doesn't come out and tell you really the game plan there. And like he says so much in depth there, like we're monitoring the minutes, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. And again, initially he started monitoring minutes because Steph Curry came off of playing only 5 games and due to that broken hand. So now I just think it's so interesting. There's so many things to dissect about it, which I want to hear from you because I get it. You don't want to gas him up or gas him out this season to what? Make the playoffs, if that. I mean, they know they're not winning a chip this year. Klay Thompson's on the bench, obviously, due to injury. So I get it in that aspect. However, I'm also on the fence because people argue, are we wasting Curry's prime? He's 32 years old. So, I mean, granted, he's not that LeBron James type of extraordinary figure that can play Tom Brady level. But, I mean, I see it. I see both arguments. I see both sides. But what is your take on Steve Kerr's comments, and where do you fall on that spectrum?
So it's interesting, right? Like, Steve Kerr has become sort of the bane of Warriors Twitter existence, right? They are really coming at him hard. And it's interesting because, like you, I understand his overall point. He knows
Right.
they're not winning an NBA title this year, right? That went out the window when Klay Thompson suffered the Achilles injury, right? Like, they knew that wasn't happening. So his point is, why go nuts and make Steph play 38, 40 minutes so we can get a 6 seed and lose in the first round? Maybe if we're lucky, get to the second round. Like, what's the point of that? And to wear him out for all that when we want to win a championship. So I understand that point. I think where the issue comes from the fans' perspective is they're like, look, man, Curry's healthy. And if you look at him, his body type, like, over the years, he's gotten more muscular and solid. Like, he's solid right now. And
Remember when he first came into the league?
he was
That
right.
shaved
Oh
head,
yeah, and that
tiny.
jersey 5 sizes too big. Like, he is filling that thing out, and he looks like he's in the best shape of his career, running around through everything, and he's looking like he wants to do more. I mean, you saw it in that game against the Spurs that you just referenced. Normally, he takes a certain amount of rest to start the fourth quarter. He was up as the Spurs were dwindling were taking the lead, and he was looking at the coaches like, yo, get me in, get me in. Now, you know Steph. He's the consummate team guy. He's never going to show up his coaches and go into the media and say, I got to play more minutes. He's going to stick to the program, but you can tell it's frustrating him. He's a competitor, first of all. That's the first thing that people have to understand. He's a competitor. These guys want to be out there and competing because they're alpha dogs, and they believe that when I'm out there, we're the best. And look, let's be honest. When he's out there, it's a factual statement. The numbers he's putting up this year, you mentioned 29.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, they're on 48, 43, 93 shooting splits. He's shooting 65% shooting, 60% effective field goal percentage. That's basically in line with his unanimous MVP season. I mean, the dude's playing out of his mind. And, you know, he's like, look, I got to be out here for us to win. And there's some truth to that. You know, the Warriors' issues right now stem from the rest of that roster is just not very good, right? That's the issue. It's because when he gets off the floor, it's like things crater, and they're not good. And you know, the elephant in the room here is Draymond, right? Like, this is the second lowest field goal percentage he's had in his entire career. Second lowest effective field goal percentage. Worst 3-point shooting of his career. He's averaging 5 points per game. Look, Draymond Green is not a 20-point per game scorer, and ain't nobody asking him to do that. But yo, my guy, 5 points per game, that ain't cutting it. And worst 3-point shooting percentage of your career, that's not good enough.
I mean, he's not great at shooting threes anyway, so I'm not really looking at that statistic.
Except that in the years they won championships, he was at least a credible 3-point shooter. He's not even credible right now. Teams are like, oh, Draymond's shooting a 3? Pfft, whatever. They turn their back and go into the paint because they're not worried about it. Right? He's got to make them pay for that, and they know he's not looking to score, so they play him they play the passing lanes now when he has the ball, which means his turnover numbers are higher than they've ever been in his career. So these are sort of the issues that are impacting Golden State right now, because again, when Curry is your only all-star level player, like Andrew Wiggins is doing decently enough, but not enough where it matters, right? The thing about Andrew Wiggins is it's in spurts. It's not consistent enough, right? And that's been the story of his entire career, right? What do we always say? That's
been the story of this podcast.
he looks like 1 minute, oh my God, this guy could be and then next minute you're like, oh my God, what are you doing, right? But that consistency is what separates all-stars from just run-of-the-mill starters in the NBA, right? Like, and that's what he is right now. He's a starter, but he's not an all-star because that consistency isn't there. So, you know, it's a lot of different things. You know, people are talking about Steph Curry MVP, and sure, the numbers say that, but I'm sorry, the record doesn't say it. Now, you want to blame Steve Kerr for the fact that he's ruining Steph's MVP campaign? Sure, if you're a Golden State fan, you can do that. I think, you know, part of the thing for Golden State fans is, at least the irrational ones, the more rational ones kind of get it. They forget that what you're experiencing right now, this is regular life in the NBA, right? That cloud you were on for 5 seasons, that isn't real life. Okay, that's not how things actually go in this league. This is more how life is like.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the Golden State Warriors fans of the world. I love the Bay. It's gorgeous.
Love it out
beautiful.
there. Lived out there for a little while.
I would even wear yellow for y'all out there. But this is normal life, Jarod. Thank you for bringing them back down because,
just
again,
normal life.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, they gave them that dynasty run, that taste, that incredible high. Almost
and
like
they got Kevin Durant. It became the greatest team ever, right? It's like, okay, but guess what? Kevin Durant's gone. Klay Thompson's out. Like this is what life is like now. And I get the Golden State fans. They're like, but let Steph cook. Let him just run pick and rolls and let him just torch the league. I mean, you can do that, but at what cost? Okay, so you grind him and you win those games. You get that 6 seed, and then what? He's wiped come playoff time. Is it worth it? Look, I get it from your entertainment perspective and value. You want to see that, but I'm leaning a little bit towards Kerr here, and look, I understand the long game. Now, he's not infallible. There are things that Kerr can definitely do better. Do I think playing him 36 minutes, 37 minutes, that won't hurt him? You can do 36 minutes, maybe,
Right.
But, 38 to 40, all right, now we're getting out of control. And
right.
I get his point, though. You don't want to chase wins. But, had he done that a couple games and played stuff a little bit longer, maybe you're 14-10 right now instead of whatever they are, basically 500. Right, so I think there's truth on both sides. I'll say that.
No, I completely agree, and I'm definitely leaning more towards Steve's side, just because, again, the long game. To be realistic, what are you playing for this season? Whether you gas Steph Curry or not, what are you playing? Right. You think this man is going to win a chip on his own with Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre Jr.?
No.
No offense, but. Again, the long game, because say we didn't play the long game and then Steph and Klay go on a run next year and Steph is just so tired in the playoffs and, ruins it for them.
Yeah.
Then everybody comes for Steph. You, this and that, Steve Kerr, why didn't you do that? Oh.
Yeah. It when you're a fan and you're used to winning and things have been going so well, you get spoiled and you forget this is what it actually is like out here in these streets. Yeah, this is what it is.
I can't. You know what I was thinking before too, because my mind, it's nuts. It goes places like crazy. But Andrew Wiggins is he's like, do you ever have Pop Rocks?
Yeah, Pop Rocks.
Right? You never you rarely have them. It's whatever, but then when you do have them, it's damn, this is good. So when he's going off, it's good, but it's never, because when am I ever eating Pop Rocks? Get it?
I see what you did there. Well done. Well played by you.
Thanks. I didn't know if that one was going to work. I was like, what, let me go out on a limb here.
I see where you were going there with it. Let's run with it.
The best. Thanks for the support. So yeah, which also, last thing I'll say about this Steve Kerr, I guess, debate, whatever. It's really, again, it's one of those situations where we have to take a step back and be like, okay, this isn't as complicated as it seems. Don't read into the crypticness of everything, because it's most likely not cryptic unless it's Larsa Pippen in Montana or whatever, Dakota, I don't know, whatever state she is named. But yeah, it's not as cryptic as you think. You know what I mean? Think about it.
It is what it is. Warriors fans, look, I know you want more Steph, and again, to that point, as I said, while I'm leaning on Kerr's side, he can stretch Steph a little bit sometimes. That's not going to overall hurt the overall thing, right? As a long-term permanent thing, no need for that. But can you do it every once in a while? Absolutely.
Why not? Hey, touche. Let's go. All right, we got to talk about something more exciting than that, because, and I love what you did here with the show run, can't even take credit about it, but for real, guys, Derrick Rose and Thibs reunited, and it feels so... What does
Ellipsis.
It feel, Jarod? What is it? That is going to be the golden question of this next topic, because, guys, if you have been living under a rock, then you wouldn't know that the Pistons traded Derrick Rose to the Knicks and sent Dennis Smith Jr. and a 2021 second round draft pick via the Charlotte Hornets back to Detroit. Now, this trade happened over periodic talks over a couple months, sources told ESPN, but this is incredible because of the story behind it. You know, I love a good narrative. Okay, Rose rejoins the Knicks. You guys know that he spent an tumultuous 2016-2017 season there, struggling with Phil Jackson's triangle offense, hence why we don't really do that much. So, but this time he's reuniting with Thibs. Now, you guys know they played together. He played under Thibs in Chicago in 2011 and then in Minnesota in 2017, 2018 after that stint with the Knicks. But he's back, baby. That Drake song, I'm back, baby, where the love at. You know, I never claimed to be a rapper, but holy shit. Derrick Rose is at the Mecca, and he released the most emotional statement that,
oh boy.
You know, when you get that opportunity to play at Madison Square Garden, you go, and that is right. He is back, and hopefully fans will be back in the Garden to see it because, man, this is fun. So that is the question, Jarod. Reunited, and it feels so what?
I mean, good for Derrick Rose, I guess. Look, I think it's a fine move. Look, he obviously knows Thibs and knows why Thibs likes to do things. I think Derrick Rose is also at a point in his career where he understands who he is and what his role is. The one question I have, excuse me, as I yawn, well, apparently that's boring me. The one question I do have is, how's it going to work with Emmanuel Quickly? Right? Quickly's playing well, and as a rookie, he needs to get more minutes. Now, you know how Thibs is. Is Thibs going to be like, okay, I got Derrick Rose, I got Taj Gibson, we get in the van back together, is he going to grind them out and be like, all right, let's try to, scratch our way into that play-in or into the playoff as an 8 seed, right? Okay, I mean, that would bring the fans some joy, like they haven't seen playoffs in decades, right? Like, that would be cool, but what does it ultimately do? Like, right? Like, and I think Derrick's good. Like, he knows, like, his job's going to be partly to help mentor Quickly in the young guys. But really, what we don't want is for him to take minutes away from them because those guys' development is important to the future of the Knicks. Like, that's the thing, right? You have to look at. Yes, as a Knicks fan and you're suffering, you want playoffs. You haven't seen it since Stat and Melo, so not quite decades, but it's been a while, and, really the last 20 years or 25 years as a Knicks fan has been futile, right? So, the future of your squad, Emmanuel Quickly looks like he's a big part of that. Well, how do young guys develop and get better? They have to play, right? Well, if you now bring Derrick Rose in, we don't want him taking minutes away from them just to chase that 10 seed, right? As we talked about to start the show with Golden State, right? What is the end game? The Knicks are damn sure no championship contender. So why does scratching into the playoffs and like having Derrick Rose play more minutes than Emmanuel, what is that going to do for your franchise in the end? It'll give you maybe some short-term excitement and your fans are happy, but quickly now his growth is stunted, right? Like, it just, you have to think about that, and hopefully they have a plan. The other part of this that should not be overlooked. Leon Rose and William Wesley, aka Worldwide West, are among the brain trusts that now run the Knicks. Shouts to CAA. William Wesley is a longtime friend and associate of Derrick Rose. So, just put two and two together. So look, again, I think it's a low value thing for it's not going to cost anything because DSJ wasn't going to play anyway. So he goes off and hopefully tries to restart his career in Detroit. You have a veteran in Rose who understand what Thibs wants. If it's about building that culture, I'm all for it. And if it's about helping to mentor Quickly, I'm all for it. Yeah, you're going to get some minutes sometimes when you have to because of whatever, injuries, and we need you to play because we want to win this game or whatever, or someone's playing poorly. But I don't want it to be at the expense of the development of the Knicks' future. And it appears as though Quickly, RJ Barrett, those guys, that is part of, and Mitchell Robinson, that is part of the Knicks' future.
Right. I see your concerns that you're raising. However, I don't think that they would have done this trade without some sort of blueprint with Derrick Rose.
You hope so. You hope so.
Right. And I think he would be an ideal veteran mentor for these guys because he's not that kind of flashy, I want to be the guy type of guy. So, and I think really he wouldn't have gone to New York if he didn't have great experiences with Thibs.
Oh,
So
no doubt, no doubt. And I think he knows what his role is.
that's a good one. It was funny though. Did you catch that interview with Jimmy Butler? He was doing whatever Q&A with reporters, whatever, and he was asked about it, and he just started hysterically laughing and saying, Thibs is getting the band back together.
That's it. All you need is get Jimmy up there, right?
Right? How funny. I mean, hey, we'll see how he fits in with Rivers and the squad, but I like it. I mean, oh God, I love Derrick Rose, the youngest MVP in league history, fam.
You love a good narrative. That's your jam.
Don't forget it.
You're a narrative gal. That's your thing.
Oh my God, is it bad if my Google search history is like Rose sweatshirt?
I'm not even messing with you.
No, I'm like out of control already. I can't even do it. And it's literally Tuesday. Gotta love it though. All right, let's go down not too far, but to Brooklyn. We got to talk about how their roster and their stars, naming Kevin Durant, are dealing with COVID protocols and contact tracing, which he's already taken to social media to complain about because it is Kevin Durant, and that is no shade. You got to know if you're going to do something, the man is going to speak. So let's talk about this. Now, reminder, guys, Kevin Durant had COVID back in March, right? So he has contact with a team employee that he drove with, ESPN says, on 3 different occasions without a mask. So this employee comes back with an inconclusive COVID test. But however, due to COVID protocols, whatever happens, they rip the player from the court, and that's what they did with Kevin Durant. The issue here where people are seeing a blurred line is the inconclusive test and not a positive result. However, employee comes back with a positive result, and then Kevin Durant goes right into quarantine. And that protocol for the league is 6 days no matter what. Now, this is also important to note that I see the league's stance on this because, I mean, you have to treat everybody the same. We don't scientifically know if you cannot contract COVID more than once, whatever. So, you know, for the safety of everyone, this is what they have to do. Kevin Durant wasn't exactly a fan about that and kind of said something along the lines of the NBA and tags the NBA and says, your fans aren't dumb. You can't fool them with your whack-ass PR tactics. Free 7. And that was, you know, attached to a Woj bomb that said he was held out and all that, which I just explained to y'all. And, yeah. So now, guys, he's eligible for February 12th. That's a Friday. But then they don't play until Saturday against his old team, the Warriors. So why not come out of COVID protocol to play your old team that you won a couple chips with? So, I mean, what is your take on this, Jarod? I mean, do you think that he has a right to be angry? Do you think that, you know, this is just absurd?
It's a frustrating situation, right? For Kevin, obviously, for the Nets, his teammates and everything, because it was just so bizarre, right? Like, and the way the league positioned it. The league said, out of an abundance of safety, right? This is why we're pulling Kevin up. Well, if it was really about an abundance of caution, if it was really about an abundance of caution, we wouldn't really have an NBA season, now would we? If we're really talking about the abundance of caution.
That's an interesting, great point.
All right. Now, other factor being, and a lot of the Nets players talked about this after the game, they were like James Harden said, so first he wasn't going to come out. Then he came out. We're like, all right, stuff's cool. He's playing. Then you pull him off the court because of contact tracing. Well, Kevin was with us the whole time in the locker room, so why are we playing this game? Do we now have to go into... It's just the inconsistencies. And, you know, part of the part where Kevin is frustrated is he's literally tested negative, as Steve Kerr joked, 90 million times, right? And the antibodies are still present. So they're like, what's the problem? Now, to your point, Jenna, we still don't know conclusively, even if you test negative, and you have antibodies present, we still don't know if you can carry it somehow, right? That is still not 100% clear if you can carry it. So that's where the frustration comes from. I mean, it's likely that he probably can't, but, you know, what the Nets don't want is to have a breakout amongst the team and to stop that, right? So they're like, look, we're just going to follow the league's rules and protocols and do what it is. Here's what I will say. It's frustrating. It's annoying, particularly for the Nets team, because they're trying to build chemistry, right? And they need time together to build chemistry. We talked about it before. No training camp, no real time for practice, etc. The one advantage I would say it gives them, while it hurts them in the team chemistry standpoint, just getting all these guys together with their teammates so you get reps, right? How you build chemistry and effectiveness is through repetition, right? The repeated motion actions of doing something. So that's going to hurt them. But in a way, this helps Kevin Durant from a load management perspective, right? This is now the second 7-day quarantine he's had, right?
Yes.
So he now gets another week off from basketball, right? Remember, despite how well he is playing, like an MVP, the man is coming off an Achilles tendon injury, right? The most devastating injury in this sport. So being able to have a week of no basketball activities, like at least in the sense of practice and games. Yeah, he's shooting and like keeping himself in shape, but not playing games. That's only going to help in the long run, because his minutes numbers per game, we talked about that with Steph Kerr in the beginning, already high, right? Top 10 in the league in minutes per game, coming off an Achilles. I didn't think that was sustainable. But his total minutes for the year, he's nowhere near the top 10, right? So I think that is a blessing in disguise in the long run, because this team has deep playoffs and championship aspirations.
Gotta love it. But that is a good point. He did go through a previous quarantine not too long ago in January when he was in contact with somebody who tested positive. So these are some nice breaks. Love it on the load management side. And again, I expected him to play like this, but I didn't expect to be so mind blown when I saw it.
Right. You're like, whoa, what's happening?
I don't get it, but hey, that's what happens when your nickname is the 7-foot sniper. So, it is what it is. All right, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, dun, dun. Guys, it is time for America's favorite segment. What's up with? And as you guys know, like I say every week, we just go around the league with absurd, crazy, wild, bizarre headline-making topics. And we just ask, what is up with this? And then, that's right, Jarod gives me a spitfire take and a soliloquy. I got it right this week.
Very good.
Of words. I really tried. The concentration that went into my face, every muscle was used. Okay, let's talk about this next one, because he's been my favorite for a very, very long time.
Very
back
true.
when he had the hair that was touching the sky. De'Aaron Fox, all right? What is up with De'Aaron Fox? Because he is ballin', okay?
Sure is.
Western Conference Player of the Week, just dropped 38 against the Pelicans in a win, and he is bringing his team, dare I say, the Kings, the original dumpster fire, back into the conversation, at least?
Yeah. I mean, shout out to De'Aaron Fox, Western Conference Player of the Week. I mean, he is playing like a bona fide all-star. They were 4-0 in the week so it was last week that he won. He's the reigning Western Conference Player of the Week. He's averaging 31 points, 8.8 assists per game, shooting 51% from the field during those 4 games. I mean, he's been electric, man. And he's shooting 37% from 3. It's funny because friend of the show, Amin El Hassan, he, Amin loves to go on social media and go back at fans and what have you. And he said on the jump a couple months ago when he was still there that, De'Aaron Fox is who Ja Morant, he thinks he's who Ja Morant is, right? Like, basically, the way Ja Morant plays is who De'Aaron Fox thinks he is, right? Mm-hmm. And, a Sacramento local radio host took that clip out. It went viral among Kings Twitter. They called Amin a hater, all this stuff, and the Sacramento Kings host tagged Amin and tagged De'Aaron Fox. And so De'Aaron was like, I don't listen to haters, whatever. And, Amin's always willing to go back and forth with somebody. His comeback game is strong on Twitter, so he's fine to go back and forth. And, allegedly or supposedly that motivated De'Aaron to, all of a sudden start playing well. And, Amin, funny, was like, you're welcome, Sacramento, for helping you out. Now,
here I am.
Now, look, it's is to Amin, as he said, you've had a good month. Congratulations, But again, let's see you be consistent with it, right? The talent level was always there for De'Aaron Fox, and no one denied that. The question is, can you do this consistently? And look, if he plays like this with Tyrese Halliburton, who's having a hell of a rookie season for Sacramento, Jenna, dare I say that dumpster fire, they're going to find themselves in the play-in, maybe a playoff spot down at the bottom of the Western Conference. I mean, they're playing well enough.
Wow.
I know. Wow. That blew your mind because you're like, man, that team's a dumpster fire. What are you talking about?
Fake producer, roll the tapes of Jarod initial dumpster fire ceremony with the Kings, please. And this is the partner show where the budget that we don't have rolls the tapes of that.
No doubt. I mean, look, they're 12-11 right now. Again, now let's just also be clear about something. They are still playing historically horrendous defense. Okay, they're the 30th ranked defense in the league. In case you didn't know, there are 30 NBA teams. That means they're last. Okay, so they still have a lot of issues. However, again, De'Aaron's going to keep playing like this. Tyrese Halliburton, Rashawn Holmes, buddy, look, you're going to get Harrison Barnes. They may score enough points to, hang around there and be like, all right, let's do something. Let's at least get into that play-in. So kudos to De'Aaron Fox on his play.
Right? Hey, and the squad, too, their last 4 games aren't too shabby. I mean, they're scoring in the mid, higher hundreds. So why not? Let's go. Let's see what they can do in Sacramento. But let's go to Chi-Town, where it's usually quiet. They're 11th in the East, 9-14,
Whatever.
Well, background. But we got to talk about Zach Levine, because what is up with Zach Levine? But I'm going to twist this back, because there is nothing up with Zach Levine, because he's been balling. He stay balling. Like I said, it's just quiet down in Chi-Town. Don't do this to me,
Here's the thing, Jenna. He's always been like a flashy highlight reel guy, right? Like, showing up like on Bleacher Report, House of Highlights. Oh, did you see Zach Levine do whatever and go off? Look, the Bulls still aren't winning, right? However, he is playing and having the best numbers of his career, right? 27, 5, and 5 on 50, 40, 85 splits, 59.6 effective field goal percentage, 64 true shooting. So he is efficient doing all this. He's playing excellent ball. The issue is that the entire Chicago Bulls team, as a whole, as a collective, they're not playing well. And then we know Lauri Markkanen's not going to be out for a few weeks, which is going to hurt them. So that's problematic. But I have to say, I do love what Zach's doing from an efficiency standpoint. He seems committed to wanting to win. But, unfortunately, that situation in Chicago seems not ideal.
Not ideal. However, Jarod, the question was, what is up with Zach Levine? What is up with the Bulls? Okay.
So what is up in a positive way, right? Because what is up is not always negative. It's like, what's up with Zach Levine?
Yeah, this can go any way, baby. This is like a Rubik's Cube. You never know. It's going to be a tough one. But, again, ballin', I mean, they just played the Wizards. Bradley Beal just sang his praises, said he's a bona fide scorer, which is true, in my opinion, in most cases out there. But hey, I mean, when you're 11th in the East and you're 9-14, you're going nowhere fast. So this is extreme talent in a dicey situation.
And that's the thing, right? He's always put up numbers. They haven't been this efficient. That's what I'm loving, is the efficiency he's able to do it with right now, that's a good step and a good sign. But ultimately, for that next level, that has to translate into wins, right? We don't want to be good stats, bad team, right? Like, does that translate into winning basketball ultimately? Now, part of the problem, again, as I said, the roster, not great. Markkanen's hurt. They got some issues. But, it seems like Levine is something of a building block piece. What can you do with him going forward?
Right. I mean, hey, I'd love to see him on a different team with some pieces around him. I think he could be lifted up in ways like Jimmy Butler does to Tyler Hero, like things on that kind of vibe. You know what I'm saying?
That's tall praise. Wow.
Hot take. That's you, girl, for the show. That's it. I'm done. All right. For real, in the scheme of hot
Uh-oh. Where'd you go? Are you there? Folks, I think we're having some technical difficulties, so stay tuned.
What's happening, guys? It's your girl, Jenna, and your guy, Jarod, back here. We had some technical difficulties. That is the perks of working from home. Of course, your girl's internet goes out right at the crucial point when I was telling you that Malik Beasley of the Minnesota Timberwolves, otherwise known on this podcast as Larsa Pippin's flavor of the week, he's actually been sentenced to 120 days in prison. However, he is out on a work release so he can finish the season, and then he will do the sentence after the season's over. Now, if you guys were wondering why this is happening, he was sentenced for angrily aiming a rifle at a couple and their teenage daughter who were in an SUV. Now, this happened last fall. They allegedly were outside of his home, and he just allegedly went over to the window and aimed a rifle their way. Police say that he was in possession of marijuana, but they decided to drop the charge, which is another felony charge, and where they're at in Minnesota, where he's being sentenced. And now he'll serve that sentence, like I said, after the NBA season. This is just bizarre, seeing as he's currently in the news for a custody battle, on a real note, with his ex-wife. And we joke a lot on this show, but that's when he's out with Larsa Pippen, like taking pictures in front of Christmas trees. Like, this shit's serious, which that also really happened. But this is serious. I mean, I
feel like our gossip segment has been really all about Malik Beasley and Larsa Pippen.
Because you know, that's why I like the league. They ain't out here doing anything crazy. But then when you throw a curveball wild card in there like Larsa Pippen, I mean.
Whew,
sheesh.
Malik, my guy, and the thing is, he's starting to play well now. He's starting to play pretty decent basketball now. The Timberwolves still stink because they are the Timberwolves. But it's like, my guy, we gotta get yourself together, homie. Like, I need you to focus on the ball. I mean, Larsa, if that's what you want to do, all right. Like, homie, you got a custody battle you're dealing with over here. This bad news. Let's just hope he gets whatever help he needs. It's a bizarre thing to be going outside with a gun and like aiming it at somebody who apparently they were just driving around looking at homes. I don't know. Like, it's just crazy.
Again, yeah, we're skimming the surface with this one, guys, because, again, this is an NBA podcast, but this we usually do for fun. But dang, Malik, you're taking it a step further, boy. I mean, what timing this comes right in the middle of the custody battle, the divorce,
that isn't going to help him in the custody battle, right? I'm sure that his ex-wife's lawyer is going to be like, man, this dude's going to jail for 6 months. Like,
yeah, it ain't looking good. Looking good.
Yeah.
But then again, he plays for Minnesota, yet he's averaging like 20 points.
He's playing well,
sucks, man.
He's playing well.
This is a prime case of get your head on straight.
Get your head on straight, my guy. And I don't know that Larsa Pippen's helping that, but is what it is.
It is what it is. Just another kid for her to wrangle. All right, let's go on. Boom. All right, let's end this one on another note, which is a much better one. Honestly, I don't want to have to ever suffer through a Malik Beasley jail segment again. Let's talk about the AllStar Game, because as we told you guys last week, Jarod is sticking to his stance and that lead foot on the gas that we should not do this. It's a bad idea. Let's pull the plug. And now, dare I say, the league stars have agreed with Jarod Hector. They didn't come out and say that. However,
but they know what's up
with you. They know what's up. LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bradley Beal, and the list goes on, have all spoken out that they're really not even in the mental headspace for an All-Star game, that this wasn't promised to them when the league came out with their bajillion-page rules in the beginning of the season for COVID and protocols. Now you want us to fly to Atlanta, play a game for your entertainment that doesn't even matter for our league stats, and then fly back with the risk of COVID again, all for the sake of what, Jarod?
Money, baby.
Money.
Listen, shouts to the OJ's, a little money. Like that's
Love that. But come on, man. What's going on here now? I mean, Chris Paul spoke out. He said the union has always got the full body of players in mind. Do you think that there's going to be a type of, maybe meeting that's like, let's pull the plug, and then you're going to come out with this press release and then it's all canceled again?
Well, so here's the thing. It's so interesting, right? We know this is about the dollars, right? We get it. We understand that. Turner is one of the league's broadcast partners along with ESPN. Turner pays the NBA a lot of money. And the AllStar Game is a big revenue generator for Turner, right? For all the ad revenue they get for All-Star Weekend. And they're like, look, man, we want, and it behooves the NBA to do right by its league partner and keep that relationship good by not taking away their biggest moneymaker.
Right.
That's the biggest reason why we played on Christmas Day to start the season, right? Okay. Now, we talked about the rest factor and all that other stuff, and that's all true, and it still will remain true. And, in the middle of a pandemic, an All-Star Game is a luxury and seems unnecessary. Even in the best of times, it's a luxury. Understood. The issue here is the All-Star Game is collectively bargained, right, as part of the deal between the Players Union, and the NBA. And so, when they were told there was going to be no All-Star Game, we are not sure that was set in stone because, again, no All-Star Game, that means no revenue. They take that piece away of the BRI. Now, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, the guys on maxes, super maxes, rookie max, and big deals, not going to really bother them, right? If they had to take a little bit of a cut in terms of the BRI. Who this hurts is the middle class of the NBA if there's no All-Star Game, right? And that is the bulk of the NBA players, right? Because the majority of guys ain't max guys. That's not how this goes, right?
No.
The bulk is the middle class, right? And so those are the ones to take the tax cut or the dollar cut. And I say this all the time. Yes, it's millions of dollars. But again, most of these guys are not just supporting their immediate family. It's generally extended family that's being supported as well. Mm-hmm. Some of them can't afford to have $1 million cut or whatever it may be. That will significantly impact lives, right? Yeah. Can LeBron James afford $1 million cut? Of course. But we ain't talking about those dudes. We're talking about the middle, right? Those guys taking significant cuts and it hurting them. And so that's why a large part of this, I believe, was agreed to. And look, the players are going to go and do what they have to do. They're not thrilled about it. And I do believe, as De'Aaron Fox said, is like, if you get selected and you don't go, they can get fined. So it's like, so he doesn't want to go either. Neither does Bradley Beal. But, they're going to do what they have to do. For the sake of the majority and for the sake of keeping that BRI where it is. But we all know it's just there had to be ways around this, contingencies. But, that's a podcast for a different day.
That is also true. But I will end this by saying the only reason I could see the All-Star Game going on or would like for it to go on is to see Bradley Beal.
You do want Bradley to make, and I think Bradley will make the All-Star Game. Look, the Wizards stink, obviously, but he is leading the league in scoring. So
That's right.
Bradley,
That's right. Put some respect on his damn name. God. Thank God it's the end. I'm emotional.
Listen, you and your Free Bradley campaign. Look, we'll see. Trade deadline's coming up, guys, right? Like, we got about 6 weeks or so, give or take. We'll see who's on the move, who gets bought out, and what happens out there. Anyway, you guys know where to find us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. We are on Twitter at 7footerspod, on Instagram at 7footerspodcast, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemoncelli, and we will see you guys next week. Take care. Peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back. I don't wanna trap, what's a man gonna do? Chevy told me come